We're wine tasting in Santa Margarita. Sip, sip, hooray!
Hi, and welcome to Sip Sip Hooray. I'm Mary Babbitt.
And I'm Mary Orland, and you come to the podcast where wine is always, always fun.
That's right. We put the cheers in wine. Sip Sip Hooray.
Cheers to that.
Hey, we have a fun show for you today. We're headed on a road trip down Highway 101 in California to the town of Santa Margarita, which is just south of the Paso Robles wine growing region. It's this small town with a big personality, and a big part of that is Ancient Peaks Winery.
Right. Mary, I'm so excited because we have a cover girl on our show today, Amanda Wittstrom-Higgins. She is a dynamo. She is part of one of the families that owns Ancient Peaks. And most recently, she was on the cover of Wine Enthusiast for their 40 Under 40 edition. And it's really awesome. You can see the cover on our website, sipsiphooraypodcast.com. But, she's in her full cowboy rope lassoing glory. And she just looks like a strong, awesome, cool gal.
She is really incredible, and you're going to fall in love with her as we did. She is full of heart and hard work and passion and just a delight to spend the day with. So come along as Amanda gives us a tour of the vineyards and a clue as to why the winery is named Ancient Peaks. And then we sit down with Amanda and learn about her very busy life as a woman in wine, a rancher, a wife, and mom.
And if you enjoy this podcast, please share it with your friends, your family, and also please subscribe so you can get our latest podcast when they drop.
So giddy up, we're going to Santa Margarita.
Well, welcome. We are in the middle of our Margarita Vineyard, which is the southernmost vineyard in the Paso Robles AVA. Where we're standing is 14 miles from the Pacific Ocean. The name of our winery is Ancient Peaks. And if you look right out in front of us to the west, you can see the tail end of the Santa Lucia mountain range, which is the reason for the name Ancient Peaks. Because of that range and the geologic activity around it, we've got a really wide array of soils here on the property. We're standing in front of our Cabernet Sauvignon vineyard.
This area, you call it Oyster Ridge.
Absolutely.
Tell us about that.
So this section of the vineyard is called Oyster Ridge. So when I was referring to the mountain range that is just standing to the west of us, there at one point where we're at was a seashore. And we call this section Oyster Ridge because there's all of these oyster shells that are open and exposed in the soil that only survive in about 50 feet of water. And it's a really unique soil profile, almost 100% calcium, which is great for grapevines because it's got really low nutrition levels, and so the vines struggle producing, a more intense fruit.
So you still find oyster shells up here?
Yeah, absolutely. We've got just over the knoll, and if we were to dig in this area, which we did recently for a study, about 1.5 feet below subsurface, is just riddled with these oyster shells, and the soil profile is almost white like flour.
Wow.
It's pretty amazing.
Mm-hmm. And then that shows up in the wine with the minerality, kind of that almost sea salinity, minerality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's just one of the soil types that we have here on the property. Mm-hmm. There's actually 5 that are most prevalent. So it's an estate vineyard. It's owned by 3 families, and I'm proud to represent the next generation of ownership and to really tell the story of this great place and let our wines speak to the people that drink them and having that unique flavor profile that comes from really the soils that these vines are grown in.
Yeah, and really connected to the ancient past.
Right. Oh, you want to walk over
Sure.
here? I'll show you. There's
They're like petrified? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So about 10 million years ago.
That's all it takes?
Yeah, right? And I talked to a guy who actually is an oyster farmer in Morro Bay, and he said the majority of those oysters are about 8 years old when they were petrified. Yeah. So let's see. So this is the section of the vineyard that they're really prevalent, and you see all the white spots on the soil. It's amazing nature, and so I feel so proud to be able to represent this place, which has a very authentic story to tell in itself, starting with the soils.
Yeah.
So.
Sure is a beautiful spot. It really is. A little piece of paradise up here. We are excited today to be in the town of Santa Margarita. And joining us today is Amanda Wittstrom-Higgins, who is Vice President of Operations at Ancient Peaks Winery. And she's also co-founder of Wine Speak Paso Robles, which is a global industry event, and president and founder of Dream Big Darling, a nonprofit helping women in the industry. She wears a lot of hats. Among them, a cowboy hat, because she's married to a cattle rancher, and she's also a mom of two. So, Amanda, my goodness, I'm impressed that you made time for us today, because you got a lot of stuff going on.
Oh, it's so great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Welcome to Sip Sip Hooray.
Yes, I'm so glad to be here finally and having this idea come to fruition. So,
Super
congratulations to you both.
Thank you. So you, one could say you're a mover and shaker in the industry, especially in the Paso area. You and your family and the other families that own Ancient Peaks have really made some contributions to the area. And also you're passionate about the area, about the farming business, about grape growing, and you're spreading that word across the country.
Oh, it's been such a joy to represent our community. I'm fourth generation from the Paso Robles region, and I remember growing up, and there may have been, one exit into town off of the freeway, but this was really a quiet, cow town. And so to see how the wine business has transformed the community and to be able to give back to others and spread the joy of wine to people throughout the country is pretty darn amazing. And I'm just so grateful.
Yeah, the Paso Robles wine scene in particular has just blossomed over the last decade or so.
It certainly has. There's over 250 producers, over 60,000 acres planted. In 2014, they developed 11 sub-AVAs to help tell the story of the region. There's talented winemakers coming here from all over. What's really exciting is that a lot of the wines that you'll find from Paso Robles that are distributed nationally are below $20, $25, I should say. And the predominant varietal planted in the region is Cabernet Sauvignon, which is the varietal a lot of people are familiar with and drink. And so...
and it's often very expensive.
And
right,
it's a great, or the quality that's coming out of our region is a great alternative for new people to the industry. And the thing that I love is to be able to showcase a wine that people can drink every darn day, and not feel bad about it. And so that's what we focus on at Ancient Peaks. We do have some wines that are special and collectible, but the majority is meant to be consumed and enjoyed every day.
That. I mean, that's, I think, a really wise, but also a friendly approach to wine, right? It's like in our show, we try to make wine accessible.
Absolutely.
And when you have a price point of $25 in that neighborhood, that's accessible. It doesn't feel like you run the risk of failure if you buy it. And you know what I mean? Like that's, I think, it holds so many people back.
It does. So many people are afraid to buy the wrong wine, or that they spent $25 and they're disappointed.
Mm-hmm. And I think that there's certainly world-class wines that come out of our region, and I think we have values at every price point. Mm-hmm. But that entry into the market to get a fantastic wine at a reasonable price gives people the confidence to come back and try something that maybe they enjoy during the holidays or give as a special gift as well. So it's a fantastic industry, and I love the approachability of the wines that we make at Ancient Peaks, is trying to over deliver at the price point and create wonderful memories, celebrating, right? That's what it's all about.
And if you all could see the entire property, the Santa Margarita Ranch, where all the grapes are grown,
It's just stunning, 360 degrees, and looking out over rolling hills and vineyards and oak trees. And
it's a pretty special place. Can you tell some of the backstory of this place and how grapes ended up out here and how you guys ended here?
Sure. So actually the grapes were first planted to our ranch by the Franciscan missionaries in the 1700s. They planted a small vineyard that they were using for sacrament. And we found grapevines that are now in the creek bed that are gigantic, that we believe were some of the original vines planted by the missionaries. So that's the history of, and actually I think those are the first vines planted in our region. It's pretty wild when you go out and, we explored, a group of us at our lunch break, if we're needing some nature, we go out and walk, and we were walking in the creek one day, and there's just these huge, the grapevines are growing in trees, and there's all these clusters hanging down. It's crazy,
Wow.
It's pretty, I haven't had any when they were fully ripe, but it was, it's amazing. And so those grapes were first planted in our area by the missionaries. And then the first commercial vineyard was planted by the Robert Mondavi family in the late 1999s, and that vineyard was actually planted on our ranch. And then in 2005, we had the opportunity to take control of that vineyard, and so we were excited to really showcase the potential of this place with making our own wine. And so the three families that own the Santa Margarita Ranch joined forces and came up with this vision to tell the story of the property through Ancient Peaks, which the name Ancient Peaks is a tribute to the mountain range, the tail end of the Santa Lucia mountain range, that when you're out in the vineyard, it's all you see. And as we were looking at earlier today, it's forged these amazing soils that are very diverse. And so within a single vineyard, we've got a ton of diversity because of the soil profiles and the terrain and the facings. And so we're able to make estate wines with a lot of character from a single location.
What a special place, really, really special. And it's fun that you have that history. And, the Mondavi name is big, and to be custodians of the property of the project they started and you're continuing is kind of cool.
Yeah, it really, unfortunately they left before they had taken any fruit off of the vineyard. But the work that they did in laying out the project and the research, they were really onto something, and it's we're just fortunate to get to carry on that legacy.
I'm kind of curious how they found you down here. I mean, it's quite a ways from their flagship winery.
Well, I think that them, and it's hard to say, it's speculation, and I don't have the true answer, but what we're finding in the Paso Robles region is that the access to owning your own property is much easier than in some of the other regions in California. And so a lot of talented winemakers are coming from all over to stake their claim in this region because they can fully be in control of their own vineyard, of their own winery. And the soil profiles that are here are amazing. But in addition, the diurnal temperature swings are ideal. We can see 50-degree temperature swings at any given day during harvest, which really slows down the ripening period and allows for more phenolic ripeness, because the berries get, I don't want to bore you, but the flavors come from the skin and the seeds. And so you want smaller berries who have a higher contact with the skin and the seeds, and you want a longer growing season so that they can extract more flavor and color.
And you get that here.
Yeah, and we absolutely. Mm-hmm.
So you grew up in agriculture, and you were telling us earlier that you just are so happy to be able to continue to work in agriculture.
Did you do 4-H?
I didn't do 4-H, but I had horses. My husband loves 4-H and FFA, and absolutely, agriculture is a wonderful industry, and I think that the success of our region and our industry is based largely on that agricultural mindset and community where, if you need something, you borrow it from your neighbor, because we're all, the rising tide floats all ships. And for the wine industry, we certainly need one another to tell the story of our region. So, it's wonderful to be able to share a sense of place, which is what our wines showcase from our little part in the world with people from all over. And hopefully, when they come here or taste our wines or on the dinner table or enjoy them around an event, that they're creating their own memories. And I think that's what's most beautiful about the wine industry.
Agreed.
Well, speaking of your wines, let's taste something. You've got a selection picked out for us.
Yeah, so some fun wines. I've got our 2018 Rosé. It's 100% Pinot Noir. It all comes from a section of our vineyard, which is a really cool site. This is made in the traditional method, so harvested early, and just a beautiful wine, beautiful for summer. I love the color. If you can't see it,
It's a
beautiful.
very pale rose color. Just lovely.
Yeah, it's really lovely.
Millennial pink.
Is it the color of the year? I feel like I heard that.
Oh, that's so nice. It's really crisp and fresh. Kind of got a...
Fresh strawberries.
Oh, yeah, that's good. That's a nice wine. Really good rosé.
And I think the higher acid, but not overwhelmingly.
It's really refreshing.
And that's a testament to the cool climate. You're not battling acid and sugar, and so ultimately you're pretty nice wine.
That's my summer vibe right there. Hi, summer.
Yeah. So, when Mary was introducing you and listing all the things that you are involved in, you juggle many balls. One I'm really interested in is your nonprofit.
Yeah, tell us about it. Dream Big Darling.
Yes.
And I love that name.
Thank you.
Because it sounds ambitious and yet nurturing with the darling. So tell me about all that.
That's a great way to describe what we're doing. So Dream Big Darling was a project that myself and a small group of us came together last year and started. And I think the reason it really stemmed out of an internship program that we had developed here at Ancient Peaks, where we were teaching young people. It was a multi-divisional internship program where we taught about different aspects of the industry, because a lot of times when you come out of school, you have a skill set which isn't totally developed, and that sometimes you're not sure quite what your best path is. And so we thought, we can help these young people learn about a little bit of all of the ways to be in our wine business. Boy, wouldn't they succeed a lot faster and maybe save some heartache that a lot of us go through, just not knowing. And
yes, it's that extending a hand to the next generation.
Absolutely.
Love it.
I would have liked to have had that.
Yeah.
Right, and part of it is that we interview experts. So they're spending time in direct-to-consumer events, wholesale, viticulture, production, as well as administration. And then they have to go and interview experts from different fields. And they have a set list of questions that they ask, and they meet with someone for 30 minutes and ask them about their career path and what advice they have for someone else. And what was interesting was 9 times out of 10, they came to work for me, or they went to work for one of the people they interned.
At the end of this process, wow. Because you found the value in them and they fell in love with the industry.
And they could go into marketing or PR, production, or, whatever. And then, so it was great. And I kept getting these letters that was like, oh my God, this changed my life. This was more valuable than college.
Wow.
And it was, I'm like, well, how can we do this on a bigger scale? Because I had kids, and I'm like, if you have children, you want the world that they grew up in to be better. And so it's this, you have this desire to like, what can I do to make an impact? And what legacy do I want to leave behind? What do I want to see them or have them see me investing in? And so I thought, well, this could be a way. And I, growing up, have been so blessed with great mentors and visionaries around me. And what I was realizing with these young people that were coming in for the internship was, this is unique. It's unique that, these people that dream really big, like they dream so big, some people might think they're crazy or they're out there, but you can never accomplish something if you can't see it.
So true.
And so they see the world through a different lens that is not taught. It's not, there's only a small amount of people who can see things before it happens. And so I thought, more people need a taste of this because the world will be a better place and everyone will utilize their skill sets better. And so that's where Dream Big comes from. And then the darling part was, my grandmother was really inspirational in my life, but she was a simple person. She, you know, went to high school, didn't make any, you know, great waves or, you know, huge accomplishments, so to speak, but she was someone who cared and was genuine. And when I went to her, I didn't really realize how important she was until I was at her funeral. And there was like 600 people there.
Oh, wow.
For somebody who's like, you know, a housewife and, yeah, you know, but then I got to thinking, like, she called me darling, but she called everyone darling, you know, and it was that love and kindness that she
really touched people's lives.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest gift we can give. So that's...
What was your grandmother's name?
Her name was Betty.
You get emotional talking.
I know,
can
like,
see you kind of welling up a little.
Well, it's like, that's the biggest gift. And I think sometimes people forget that, you know, we're all in this together. And, you know, if I can help make an impact and pay it forward and teach my kids or other people that giving back is very important.
Well, you know, you're a role model. And, it, you know, especially, I think, in the wine industry, there's not enough role models
and female
role models.
It's, you know, it is, all the statistics say that it's, you know, it's a male dominated industry. And to be truthful, I think that's starting to change. And I also think we'll have a better industry if we include everyone's feedback, because boy, what a missed opportunity to not be listening to half of the population who's frankly got buying power, who has a different perspective that's worth, you know,
Who's
worth
doing
considering.
most of the grocery shopping.
Right. Yeah. So it's been so fun. And
with Cal Poly right down the street, are you guys getting a lot of, and they've got a great viticulture
they have a
program.
great viticulture program, and Adrienne Ferrara is on our advisory board, and she's fantastic. And, you know, so there's been a collection of great people in the industry that are like, wow, yes, we want to invest in the next generation, because that's who's going to end up running these companies and who's going to be coming up with innovative marketing strategies and taking the farming and agriculture, who, you know, is mostly done by farmers, you know, people that are kicking the dirt. You know, we need other people to help tell our story and get the word out, if this industry is going to continue to thrive and grow. So it's been it's so fun. And I also realized that through Dream Big Darling, you know, we don't have membership fees. We're not, you know, the funding, we raise money to offer a scholarship. And the scholarship is for a leadership retreat that we develop the content. It's nature, adventure, small group activities, glamping on our Santa Margarita ranch, which is a huge cattle ranch. And we felt like the best way to make connections and learn from one another is to be out of your, you know, everyday element, not in a ballroom at a hotel. It's to be in nature. It's when you really connect. And that's, if you look at business, that's when real business gets done. If you look at CEOs and the majority of transactions, it's not
golf course.
Right. You know, and so how can we create a community that's rich and link these up and coming, the next generation, to other movers and shakers throughout the country? That's how we're going to make a real impact. And so that's the goal. And right now we're accepting applications to our leadership retreat. We've got, you know, we're expecting about 50 attendees. So it's fairly small.
Okay. That seems like a big number, though.
It's, you know, it's relatively small, and there's other events that there's 1,000 and, you know, up in Napa and other places. So it's fairly intimate. But
where do you see this going? Is this something that's going to keep taking more of your time, or is it, you know, are you delegating it out and hoping other people, you know, grab a branch and keep climbing, right?
Well, it's already kind of taken shape. I mean, yesterday I was in the Santa Maria, Santa Barbara Valley, or Santa Barbara area with 20 other fellow women in the industry talking about how can they help and how can we grow this community. And I'm not sure where it will take you, but also with most companies, it's when you're entrepreneurial, you don't have a 5-year or 10-year plan. It's like when something makes sense, you do it and you figure it out. So it will be interesting. I wasn't sure it would ever happen. And then we were like, well, we need to raise some money to offer these scholarships. And we're like, well, everybody else has an auction. Maybe we should put one together. And we weren't sure how that was going to go. And then one night we raised over $100,000 and it was like, it was pretty amazing. Wow. And everyone just gave a little bit, and we had fantastic wine, fantastic food. The menu was inspired by Julia Child, and now we have a winery that's donating part of their proceeds to the nonprofit, and the label was made by an up-and-coming artist, and so it's just been, things start snowballing. And
so is this your dream, your big dream?
I guess it's one of them. I have a lot.
So you are a big dream.
Well, yeah. Not compared to the people I work with. I'm more on the small scale. But, I think that, you do have to think a little bit bigger than what you can accomplish. And what's been amazing is the support that we've gotten within the industry. And it'll be interesting to see where things take off too. So.
All right, so drink up, Mary, because we're going to try one more. We've got 2 open, so you get to choose.
Yeah.
But while we're trying that, I also want to ask you about Wine Speak.
Yes.
Right. Okay, your other project. So what do you want to have us taste next?
Well, let's taste the Cabernet Sauvignon. So Cabernet Sauvignon, this is the 2016, and this is about 30% of what we grow on the ranch. This is close to 40% of what's grown in the Paso Robles region.
Beautiful color, really deep ruby.
And this is a wine that you'll find for less than $25, which
a Cabernet for less than $25
from an estate vineyard.
That's
family owned. Owned and operated.
So nice.
And this has got a touch of Petit Verdot, Petit Syrah.
And a big dose of delicious.
If I didn't know the price on this, I would think it'd be at least $40 or $50.
Thank you.
It's really good.
Oh, thank you. That's
$25 cat that drinks like a $50 cat.
Yeah.
Who doesn't like that, right?
Right.
And then,
absolutely.
As you said, that makes it doable. You don't have to wait for a special occasion.
Mm-hmm.
You can enjoy this with your barbecue dinner tonight, right?
Absolutely.
You're throwing a flank steak on the grill and opening up a bottle of
Absolutely. Or you buy a case of it and you've got it to share. And
it can be your house wine.
Right. We want to be your house wine.
So, and yours is pretty widely distributed. So our listeners can find you, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Mm-hmm. We're distributed in 44 markets, which is, it's quite an accomplishment. We started in 2006, and so it's been a lot of, hard work and elbow grease to, so absolutely. It's, somewhat widely available in premium grocery and independent retail.
Nice. All right, so Wine Speak, what is that?
So Wine Speak, oh my gosh, this is an event that my very dear friend Chuck Furia, who's a master sommelier out of Oahu, Hawaii, and partner in a sizable restaurant group called DK Restaurants. We've worked together for a number of years, and I was telling him, because in Paso Robles, it's a rural environment, and I'm like, wow, he loves education. And he's so passionate about teaching. And in Hawaii, the industry or the culture is very unique. Like, it wasn't that long ago, they were training sugarcane workers to work in 5-star resorts. I mean, they had to transform
from
primitive farming to world-class service and cuisine, and he was part of a small group that really led that transformation. And the Hawaiian fusion cuisine it's a movement that's that's widely known. And so I started talking to him about, I wish that we had more access to education in our area, because sometimes if you're a farmer and a producer, you don't travel the world and see what other people are doing, and then you don't have those ideas and that strategy to try new things and continue pushing the envelope. A lot of people do, but it's a rural environment. So in our area. And so I thought, well, wouldn't it be great if would you be interested in coming and helping teach some of the people in our industry about wine? Because there's not many master sommeliers around here. And he said, yeah, when do you want me to come? Like, I'll come next month. And I was like, well,
I'm not ready for you
but
yet.
he's one of those dream big guys, you know? And he's like, makes it happen. And so he's like, yeah, when do you want me to come? And I'm like, well, I just had a kid and now's not great, but you can't tell him no because it's such a...
It's like, I'm ready.
And I'm like, this is such an amazing opportunity for our region, for me personally, to learn from a master sommelier who's passionate about Paso Robles. Well, he's passionate about like just about everything. But it was like, oh my gosh, I never planned an event before. And then he says, well, okay, you have that idea about teaching people in the region about wine. I've got this idea. And I'm like, oh boy, what do we, what if we created this multi-day event? And I invited all of these people that I've known in the industry for the last 40 years, and we help tell their stories, and we bring them all together into the Paso Robles region, and we create this, global wine event. And I'm like, that sounds like a great idea, but a lot of work. But I couldn't.
Just had a baby.
Yeah, and I was like, but I couldn't tell him no because it was and is an amazing opportunity. So I think we were talking in August or September, and the first event was in January, which is, if you've ever done events, that's pretty tight turnaround.
Yeah. And I was at that first event, and like you said, Chuck just has so much passion. He emceed the whole event, and he did bring in some amazing folks. I think the focus was Syrah,
Cabernet Sauvignon,
and some of the producers were like legends.
Right,
they were the pioneers. And what was really fun is one of the nights they all brought older vintages.
BYOB, bring your own bottle.
Yeah, and you just got to taste an amazing array of wines. And for folks like me, I'm not a master somm, I'm a certified somm, but still to get to taste some of those older vintages, you're going back in time and history, and you're hearing the story about it, was just so cool.
So who are the attendees? Are they all wine people? Who's there?
It's pretty much, if you love wine, it's a great event for you to come to. There's people who are in the industry, whether it's winery owners, winemakers, sommeliers from restaurants from around the country. One of the things that we did this year was partner with Dream Big Darling to offer scholarships for 8 up-and-coming women in the wine and spirits industry. That there were really sommeliers that worked the floor, because we felt like those people on the floor in restaurants are the front lines to telling the story.
Oh, isn't that the truth?
But they don't always have the financial means to come to an event and stay 4 days. And so we thought, well, you know what, let's create scholarships for these people. And it was amazing. We had Florida, New York, Hawaii, women from all over. And we had so many applicants. And it was it was incredible. And getting the letters and from those who attended, it was, again, the same thing. It was amazing to meet legends that I have only heard about. This experience changed my life. I've been in sales, but I met Jordan Fiorentini from Epic, and she's an amazing winemaker. And now I want to go into production and this experience, and so it was, again, just telling the story of others and highlighting their success and their passion. That's what makes this industry unique and special. And I'm so glad to...
It's got to be such a fulfilling experience for you to see all this come together.
Is this an annual thing?
Yes. Well, we keep saying should we do it again? But this is the 3rd year. So the community... So many people have been so supportive of the concept, and it's not for profit, and everyone's there donating their time to really make the industry better. And the number of master sommeliers that we get and producers that don't attend events because they come to this one because it's,
good for you.
So yes, it's really, I'm blessed to have the learning opportunity and to be able to, help bring more people to our area. And
well, it shows what you can do when you decide to create your own path, your own success, your own dream.
Right. Instead of waiting for the world to be the way you want it, make the world the way you want it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So it was, and it's Paso Robles is perfect because it's halfway between LA and San Francisco. And it's still an up and coming region. And, so we welcome any opportunities. So it's just been fantastic, and I feel so blessed, and our entire ownership is very vested in the community, and so we're committed to making this a better place, even if it's a little bit of my time that's taken away. It's almost like getting a master's degree in the industry, because working for a family business from a single estate, you don't always have an opportunity to taste wines from around the world or to interface with people who are doing different things, but I think collectively it adds to knowledge and the ability to help channel our region and our company and help groom the next generation altogether. So I feel pretty blessed.
Before we started talking today, I looked over on your desk and there's a yellow button. I want you to just tell me about. Because I think it says a lot about how you operate.
Oh,
What
you're
is
so
that?
funny. So that was a gift. It's the you are a badass, and so
I want that button.
I know, right? And it's like it has a few saying you create your own reality, and it's a great reminder, So. And that's a wonderful book by Jen Cicero. I don't know if you've read it, but it's worth reading, and it's a great reminder of just some days are like, wow, we're starting all this stuff. Can we get through it? And just putting one foot in front of the other is what it's all about. So
You must have long days. So with two little ones at home, they're how old?
3 and 5.
And how do you manage? Do you have any secrets, or what's the magic of being able to?
There's a lot of coffee out there. But I think
start with coffee and with wine.
Yeah. So I think that, if you're in a job where you're counting your hours, you're in the wrong job, and so that's what I think, that finding something that doesn't feel like work is what everybody should be looking towards, and it doesn't, the pay and that doesn't matter so much as enjoying what you're doing.
Totally.
And my kids, it's so funny. They're like, oh, Mom, you're going on another work trip to go hang out with your friends? Because I talk about work. I I really like the people that are here, and we get to go do dinners, and my husband's like, I can't believe you get paid for that. Like, it's crazy. And
we hear the same thing too from our friends, like, oh, you're going on a wine trip, and it's really hard work.
Yeah, exactly.
And it is, but you're going to drink and hang out with cool people and see beautiful places. And
well, I saw the number of glasses in front of you yesterday for 135 wines in one day. That seems like work.
yeah, I was judging the Central Coast Wine Competition this week here in Paso Robles, and it's an epic amount of wine. But it's all in a day's work.
Yeah.
So when people visit and come into Santa Margarita, the winery is on one side of the street, and on the other side of the street are your offices.
Yes.
And next door to them, something that's kind of after you're done wine tasting, or maybe you do this before you wine taste, the zip lining is part of your property.
So a big part of our fun way to see a vineyard that's unlike most others is our agritourism company called Margarita Adventures, and it's a lot of fun. So we've got 6 zip lines and a suspension bridge in the heart of our ranch. And this modern day ranching is, you got to we've got cattle and vineyards and a zip, we got to do.
I love it.
It's a modern day farmer, and so my father is he's kind of an adrenaline junkie, and so he would was like, let's have some zip. He was in Costa Rica and went zip lining, and
Fun.
What's interesting is there's not that many areas that you could actually construct zip lines because of the topography and the wind. It's we didn't know that when we started, but it's kind of it's a perfect area, and walking from one line to another, it really is kind of a Rubik's Cube of putting an experience together. And so it's a great way to see one of the oldest continuously operated cattle ranches in the state of California, which is our Santa Margarita Ranch. You learn about the history, nature, farming, cattle, and then you get to do a great experience.
I
zip
love
line.
it. So is that a before wine or after wine?
Well, we recommend that you do zip lining first because they're pushing you off cliffs. So, you know.
You want to be
Right.
completely sober.
You
before
want to
you
have
do
yes,
it.
right, exactly.
You'd be like, oh, sure.
Yeah, and that's margaritaadventures.com is the name of our zipline company. But we, in the little town of Santa Margarita, 1,100 people that live here, but it's kind of a booming scene. We've got several, you know, I would consider very high-end culinary experiences. One of the only Joanna Gaines distributed merchandise is in our town called the Home Store that you will drop at least several $100s when you go in there because it's amazing.
Yeah.
But and then we've got our Ancient Peaks Winery when we opened a cafe so that we could help enhance the experience of food and wine. So we've got a fantastic cheese and charcuterie plate and, you know, a limited sandwich and salad menu. And so it's kind of you could spend a full day here and we would love to have you.
Welcome back.
Absolutely.
All right, we've got one more wine on the table. I think we need to have a little sip and talk about, because it's your special wine.
Yes, absolutely. So this last wine is the crown jewel of our vineyard. It's called Oyster Ridge. The name is a tribute to the petrified oyster shells that are riddled in the soil that we talked about earlier. So this wine is a blend of several varietals. It always says Cabernet based. This year is the first year that it's an actual Bordeaux blend, and it's 51% Cabernet Sauvignon, 32% Merlot, 9% Petit Syrah, 4% Cabernet Franc, and 4% Malbec. So
That's a beautiful
it's
wine.
amazing, you know, and it's the top 1% of the fruit that we grow. So from all of the different, from every block that we have, we isolate our favorite rows in each of those sections, and then they're farmed a little bit differently. They're farmed with mind's eye of creating this blend, and then taken to the winery. And at the end of the day, they're all up for being part of the blend. And so the winemaking team really has a lot of fun putting this wine together, and it's nice to be able to showcase something that really represents the vineyard and the ranch. And it's the spirit of Paso Robles. So in our region, it's a little bit of the Wild West in the wine community. So we don't have a rich pedigree of history. And in my perspective, that gives us an edge because we aren't bound by tradition. Mm-hmm. And from a regulatory perspective or even planting, where in Europe and other regions, they can't blend certain varietals together. It's illegal. For us, we can do whatever we want. And so I think these unconventional blends or blends altogether is really making a mark, and that consumers are finding that it gives winemaking more versatility to create something really special. So it's
True cowboys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, Oyster Ridge, how much is that?
This retails for $60.
So this is the special wine that you have when you have friends over or a family holiday, perhaps, or celebration.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I think that price point is really reasonable for such a beautiful wine.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. In the whole scheme of California Cabernets,
Right.
you know, and Bordeaux blends, it's so velvety.
Thank you. I
that.
appreciate that. You know, and we like to make it approachable. And I think that the Merlot really adds the approachability and bright red fruits, but also that velvety complexity. But the Petit Verdot and the Cabernet Franc really help from a ageability perspective. Mm-hmm. And so the tannin structure is there if you're wanting to age something, but it's not overpowering if you want to, you know, buy it and drink it today. So
ready to drink. Instead of ready to wear, ready to drink.
There you go.
So in your spare time, which you probably don't have much of, what will we find you doing when you're not doing something with the winery or with Dream Big Darling or Wine Speak?
Well, it's with my family. I love riding horses and roping, and so
roping.
Mm-hmm. So
okay, you got to tell us about that.
So you know, we grew up riding horses and roping cattle and doing rodeo, and my husband's a cattle rancher, and so some of our favorite times are spent on horseback, which my kids love. And so between that and playing basketball, and my 5-year-old is like,
You play basketball.
Mm-hmm.
Good for you.
Yeah. So we play pickup 3 times. Well, you can play pickup 3 times a week. There's a group of guys that I play with. It's a lot of fun.
She's a baller.
Yeah.
I played a little basketball.
Did you?
When I was in high school.
I know we're talking about putting up a hoop out here in the parking lot just so we can play at lunch, right?
Yeah, sure.
And does your 5-year-old play too? Is that what
No,
you
they
said?
don't play yet. They're still
too
pretty
little.
small, but fishing is what. Yeah, he what is he? The Cabby King is what he got the name of yesterday because he went out on the ocean for the first time and with my husband and our one of our best friends, and he dropped his hook in the water, and the biggest capizum that they'd caught ever on that boat he caught.
No way.
Now he's like,
Wow.
Bravo.
yeah, he's very proud of himself. And so we've got
sure.
saltwater tackle box, freshwater tackle box. We spend a lot of time rearranging lures and going but it's, it's being outside. And so, that's what, you find me doing something out.
All right.
And are they aware of what you're doing with Ancient Peaks, and are they interested? Do you see them going into the business maybe?
You're proud to be the next generation for representing your generation, right? And as someone who values, you said you're 4th generation Paso.
Yes.
So you clearly value family and history and all of that stuff. And I know the rest of the partners here do as well. So do you think that this is something you want to see continue?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that when you're building something, you always are building it with the idea of hoping that it's healthy enough in all respects to pass on to future generations. And so, we'll see what where their passions lie. But I think that, teaching skills at any age is is a huge advantage. And so they come out and we test sugars and they know the varietal names, and it's a lot of fun. So, I think just the more that you can teach them all together is fantastic.
Earlier you said, though, it's important to develop grit. You got to work hard. And you're someone who clearly believes in working hard. And I'm sure you're instilling that in your kids. There's no free rides around here.
Yeah, I think the generation of parents today are so, you want to let your kids have the best life. But in the truth is that you develop character when you struggle, just like wine grapes. The best wines of the world are in poor soils in areas that you would never plant, like in Europe, because all of the grape farm ground was used for growing crops, and they had to plant, grapes up in the mountains and the rocks, and so I think like that with raising children, and that's where they learn, that's where they develop character. And my dad always said, if whoever you marry, just make sure they're a hard worker, because that will. And so I think it's
That was a good tip, Dad.
I know. So I think that it's really important that they even have jobs when they're young, or no matter what it is, carrying in groceries and making their own bed, and just things that you can do to help them learn, but also make them feel like they're important and part of something, because that will extend hopefully beyond childhood, is feeling like you're a part of something and your family and you contribute. And so,
well, I think that's a great place to wrap things up, because you're looking to the future, right? Your children are the future, and this is a winery so rooted in the past with ancient roots. And with your philanthropic endeavors, you're helping to safeguard the future for other women in the wine industry and educate people through Wine Speak. So, gosh, Amanda, hats off to you. Cowboy hat off to you. Tip that hat.
Big tip of the hat.
thank you for having me. It's been a great morning. So
You're so appreciated. Well, cheers.
Cheers.
All
right.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
There's no better feeling than grilling out, and there's no better place than Ace to get the best grill for you and your family. We have the hottest grills from top brands like Big Green Egg, Traeger, and Weber. And since our stores are locally owned and we're committed to helping our neighbors, we'll also assemble and deliver your grill for free. Around the block, what you need in stock, with people who know their grills. Offer valid for Ace Rewards members through September 7th on grills and accessories $3.99 and up. See participating stores for scheduling or exclusions.